Today is Friday, the 29th of the 1st, 2016. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an alert for the diabetes cycle of care. This type of alert is then applicable to any disease once you get to know how to use it. So the idea is that if a patient is registered with the cycle of care, as is indicated by this column here, how I got that column is the subject of another video, but of all the patients here, this is the only patient who is registered for the cycle of care diabetes. The idea is when I double click on him, I will get a message saying the cycle of care is registered, but the first review isn't done. I'm going to show you how to create this alert. This does not come automatically with your HealthOne upgrade. So I'm going to close this alert and I'm going to close the patient file. Don't have to close the patient file. I have it set such that the alert is triggered on opening the patient file and on closing the patient file. So I'm going to create the alert. I'm going to go into the configuration tool, which is this button here, configuration tool. And I'm going to click on the bell here. The bell is an alert bell, manage alerts. And these are the alerts that you have. If you go down towards the end, you will see that I have one down here called Cycle of Care Registered but no first visit review. As I said, this is not sent to you all by default, but I'm going to show you what this contains by clicking the button at the bottom here, the edit button here, and you will see that just the name of it, I can call it anything I like. The alert is enabled. Patient category is all patients. In this instance, I'm going to do an analysis, and the results of this analysis will trigger the alert. So you have one analysis is diabetes type 2 is present. If I click on this button to edit that analysis, you will see that I have here, if the item problem content contains, and I click this button over here and I typed diabetes. The next analysis is, does this patient have registered with cycle of care in the administrative file? Does it have any content existing? If it does have a content existing, I will trigger this alert, and this alert will say that this patient is registered for the diabetes cycle of care but has not yet had the first COC consultation. And I'll say OK, and I'll save this alert here by clicking on the save button, and I will also, to be sure that I have it saved, exit the alert screen here, and I'll minimize the configuration tool, and I will now open the patient file. So if I know he's registered because I see it here, so I will double click on this patient and I'll get my alert. Cycle of care registered but no first review. That's the name of the alert, and this is the details as I've typed in. You see the word "de" is misspelt, so I'll go in and I'll fix that now. So I'll close this, go back to my configuration tool, click on the alert, go down to the alert that I'm interested in, which is cycle of care registered but no first review, and go down to the bottom and click this button down here to edit it. And this is my little bit of text here, and I can fix the text. So this comes up as the title, and if I want to put some text in, I can put it in here. So in order to review this, I'm actually going to remove this completely by clicking the minus button and get rid of it. Because in most of your cases, and I'm going to save those changes, in most of your cases you will not have this alert to start with. So now if I open this patient file who is registered but has not had his first visit, I will get no alert. This is normal. In order to get an alert, I must first of all make sure that my tools, options, alerts down here are enabled. Do you see that? I won't get any alert if that's not enabled. Then I'll close the file and I'll open the configuration tool here with this button up here. I will click on the bell, which is manage alerts here. I will go down to the bottom of this and I will add a new alert with the button down here in the bottom left. This button I will call Cycle of Care Registered in HealthOne, of course, but has had no review yet. And I can, as I said, I can write something in here. This patient is registered, etc. And you will see I have here this patient is registered for diabetes cycle of care but has not had the first review. Same more or less as the name. Okay, so what patient category am I going to use? I have to do an analysis to find out which patients this will be triggered for. So I will say age between 1 and 100 years. I could exclude test patients or not. I could say GMS patients or not, so I'm going to say only GMS patients. I could say who have a disease flag, which I use a lot myself. And I'm going to create a new analysis here with this button here. It must be this button here and not this button. Forget about that plus button. Use this button to add your analysis. It's much easier. This button here. I have to call this something, cycle of care registered, but no review yet. Okay, so what are the items? So I'm going to look for all patients who have diabetes. So I'm going to look in the item problem in this case. So we'll do that. Content contains. I can look here in this little button here, not this one over here, but this one here for HealthOne code, and I can just type in DIABET space TYPE and you go down to type 2 and it puts in the HealthOne code. You don't have to do that, but it's good practice. So the content problem, item content. So if the patient has got the problem containing diabetes type 2, I will trigger the alert. But I want another condition, so I'll have to put in another one here, which is this button again. This is the edit button on the right, and this is the create new analysis button, a second from right. Now I'll say that this is registered with cycle of care diabetes. Okay, so I know that the item for this is called REGISTER, registered with cycle of care. Content, let's just say exists for the moment here. We could say equals diabetes. So if the content exists, then he is registered with the cycle of care. And for the sake of this particular demonstration, I'm going to create a third condition with my second last button here. And this button is going to say diabetes review, which is one of the items used in the diabetes Mediform, and it's particular, contains or exists. So if that exists, I will not trigger the alert. So I'm going to say, I call this cycle of care, review not done. Okay, so if that item has any content, then I will not trigger the alert, and in order to not trigger the alert I have to tick that button. So this condition, if this condition is met and this condition is met and this condition is not met, because I've unticked that, there's the AND operator, then the alert will trigger. I can say I can manually trigger it. I can trigger it when the HCR is opened. I can trigger it when the HCR is closed as well, or when Health One starts. And let's see what that does when I save it by clicking OK and click on Save, and I'll exit the alerts and the configuration tool, and we'll open the file. And lo and behold, cycle of care is registered in Health One but has not had a review, or has no review. This patient, I should respell that, is registered for diabetes cycle of care but has not had the first e-view. So I'll fix that and then I will finish the video. Close that, go back to the configuration tool, click on the alerts, go down to the one I want, which is cycle of care, go down to the end of the screen and click on the pencil which edits that, and I will simply cycle of care registered in Health One but has had no review yet. This patient is registered for diabetes cycle of care but has not had the first review. Click OK, click Save, exit this particular screen. I can minimize the configuration tool, exit the patient file, reopen the patient file, and I'll get my message and it's correct. And that's the end of this recording about how to create an alert for diabetes cycle of care. Thank you.